Every once in a while, the Cybertronians have to stop fighting amongst themselves and come together to stop an even bigger threat to our planet, or their planet, or the literal entirety of existence. Wait, did Galvatron pull his head off with one hand? But which of those is the most powerful? And yeah, I hear you thinking it, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pop that Unicron-shaped bubble of yours, because I've definitely come across threats bigger than him. Oh, and make sure you're watching to the end, because there's kind of a little twist in the tail here. So let's rank them. But first, once you're done hitting like and subscribe and all that stuff, of course, we gotta define what a supervillain is. And the bar I'm gonna set is Megatron. So he's gonna be our baseline, and we're only gonna be going upwards in terms of power from there. So first off, I'm going Galvatron. A bundle of psychosis, a bag of full-on crazy, whatever you want to call him. Sometimes he's the reincarnation of Megatron, sometimes he isn't. In some continuities, this guy is pretty much invincible. In others, he isn't, but he is, most of the time, absolutely batshit. It's said that after he was defeated in the 86 movie by Rodimus, he suffered some kind of meltdown or brain damage or whatever. Because after that, he was just an explosion of directionless rage. And I think that just as that rage is probably the source of all his power, his inability to control it is time and time again his biggest downfall. You know what? Galvatron's gonna get his own vid at some point, don't you worry. So let's move on for now. Anyway, right here is where I would talk about the Fallen, who I spoke about quite a lot in this video, so I won't repeat myself too much, but suffice to say, this guy is where I would draw the line between supervillains and hypervillains. And had they not retconned his multiversal abilities, he would still be in the hypervillain category. But as it stands, he's like king of the supervillains. Now let's talk about a vengeful creature. I am of course talking about Violin Gygar from Transformers Zone, and was the fused together souls of innumerable dead Decepticon warriors whose souls came together on a planet called the 10th Planet, smothering the world in a dense dark cloud which suffocated all life from its surface, so he could make it his hellish base of operations. His plan was to expand his territory into a Decepticon zone. To do so, he recruited 9 massive Decepticons, who would serve as his generals, and sent them on a quest to gather super energy to fuel his conquest. After a series of defeats at the hands of Atlas and his crew, Violin Gygar had to unleash his true form, a sort of blue cloud bird with a flaming skull for a head. Yeah. Anyway, because of the spectral nature of this guy, he's pretty much a ghost, plus his obvious massive size, I put him above Galvatron, but I just don't see him beating Unicron or some of the other super powerful, entries on this list. But while we're on the topic of big bads, Raid Shadow Legends has got some crazy ones. Most of you will know Raid by now, totally free to play, it's been downloaded 80 million times, hundreds and hundreds of champions, and a bazillion ways to customize them. Anyway, Raid is doing this crossover event to celebrate 25 years of Monster Hunter, and up until March the 5th, you can get 5 Monster Hunter themed legendary champions. 5! Now these are all based on iconic monsters from Capcom's action RPG franchise, and there are loads of different in-game activities, themed community events, and other special events too. Most notably that you can get the Rathalos Blade Master legendary champion for free, simply by logging into Raid for 7 days, anytime between now and March the 5th. There's also the Curse City update with 100 stages to complete, including some where you have to fight 2 bosses at once, and there's even a mythical champion to be had. Check out my link in the description or scan my QR code and you'll get insane bonuses available only via my link. So you'll get like 500k silver, energy, and chicken. Not to mention epic Juliana after reaching level 15. So come and find me under the name Normal Poohead and join my clan called the Norms. And let's be legends forever, together forever. That sounded slightly weird. So make sure you're checking that out. Thank you very much for supporting, and on with the video. Next one I want to talk about is the Swarm. It was this massive metallic substance that was created by scientists under the command of Liege Maximo by distorting the Cybertronian means of reproduction called budding. Basically, the cons used budding to create an army, got it kind of wrong, and as a side effect, this was created. It was created incomplete and longed for the essence of Primus, or soul in human terms, that it could sense in other Cybertronians. So it set about devouring every Transformer it came across in some attempt to consume its life energies. And it would also gain their knowledge after feasting on them. It was kind of like a... eat your brains and gain your knowledge. So it's safe to assume that this entity was highly intelligent as well as being insanely destructive. It was of course invulnerable to most weapons. It could assume a variety of shapes. What the hell? It could travel through space, following the Transformers all the way to Earth, and was only neutralized when Optimus opened the Matrix and, magic, and turned it into a force for life, as Optimus put it. But Optimus killing the Swarm with his Matrix energy was not the end of the Swarm, because 3H Comics would explain how they may have evolved into the Vok, Beast Wars' energy-based aliens who live outside of space and time. They transcend our reality. They use primitive planets for all kinds of bizarre experiments, including evolving the native species, and then cleansing the whole planet if things go west, using giant superweapons like the Metal Hunter or the Planet Buster. The 3H Comics also explained that the reason they were developing Earth was to atone for the sins of their past, and to do Primus's work and spread life to create a nice, organized multiverse. In the 2006 Beast Wars comics, it was taken a step further and explained that again they were evolved versions of the Swarm, but also with some human and even some lizard DNA thrown in just for funsies. Tigatron referred to these guys as gods. They read and then wiped Cheetor's mind. They froze all of the Cybertronians, rendering them unable to move. And they created Tigerhawk, possibly one of the most powerful Transformers ever. Upwards from there, I'm putting Baron Karza. He was this resident of microspace who could interchange, which means connecting to and merging with other beings and tech, and essentially shapeshift, mass shift, and form weapons and wings and, fire energy beams from their eyes and stuff like that. Nobody knows where Dark Nova came from, although it was implied it was another evolution of the Vok. He took the mantle of Decepticon Emperor after the defeat of Violin Gygar. He had his own army of disposable drones called the Galaman, reanimated a frozen Galvatron and upgraded him into Super Megatron. Why not Super Galvatron? And he was only stopped from raiding all of Earth's resources because of Star Convoy. Because of this, Dark Nova upgraded him again, now to Ultra Megatron. Why not Ultra fucking Galvatron? And after Super Duper Megatron was defeated, Dark Nova merged with him to become the Star Giant. Why not Star Galvatron? Like Unicron, this guy was pretty much indestructible, so they had to destroy him from the inside. Does this ring any bells? Yeah, he was pretty much just a Unicron ripoff. Later in Transformers Legends, he returned disguised as a planet called Unicron Neo, who would go on to battle another version of Unicron called the Unicron of Light. Unicron of Light had the upper hand until Dark Nova revealed himself and defeated his counterpart before eventually being destroyed by Die Atlas. Okay, interlude time. Just a quick question. I was going to do a full Q&A for my members, but I'm not sure I'm going to get the time, so I'm going to throw in a question from the Jankman right here. He asked what was the first Transformers I saw and how old I was when I saw it. Basically, it was Gen 1, obviously a long time after the original airing. Basically, I must have been about 6. I saw a commercial for this new series that was going to be airing called Beast Wars. I got so excited about it. My dad got a bunch of G1 eps that he'd recorded out from the attic, and I watched those until I pretty much wore the tapes out. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, buddy. I would love to know what all of your first experiences of Transformers were, so get in the comments and let me know. Alright, on with the vid. Now let's talk about an entity that's been referred to as the Decepticon God, the Devil Zodiac, or Devil Z for short. Another spirit entity of vast malevolent power that would control the Decepticon forces via its pawns Overlord and Black Zarak, with the goal of fusing Transformers and humans together, creating the ultimate life form called the Godmaster, a being that could use the 3 elements of Chokon power. Now I know the Chokon power sounds like something out of a Linda Lovelace vid, but it's actually the essence of the universe itself that can be harnessed, kind of like the Force in Star Wars, I guess, like midichlorian. And it can give the wielder all of the powers: enhanced healing, reflexes, speed, strength, energy projection, etc, etc, etc. It manifests in 3 forms: Ten Chokon, which is the power of the heavens; Shio Chokon, which is the power of Earth; and Jin Chokon, which is the power of humanity. This power was used by the Pretender Blood to turn humans into these purple zombies. Anyway, when he revealed his true form, he first appeared as this weird embryo or whatever that's meant to be, and then he turned into this bizarre red mist that infused into Black Zarak. What in the hell is that? He built an amplifier to become even stronger so he could kill all of humanity in just one attack. Got his head knocked clean off, but that didn't even slow him down. As he promptly took the form of this whatever thing before Ginrai managed to destroy his body altogether. His energy formed a giant sphere before Ginrai formed a flaming spear and stabbed it into what was supposedly his heart. He also, oh yeah, and Devil Z also has his own song. Check it out. Cthulhu should be on this list somewhere, don't you think? I mean, in the comic book crossover, Optimus did make surprisingly light work of the big guy. But really, if you think about what Cthulhu is, just the fact that encountering it means losing your sanity, not to mention its rumored size and nightmarish abilities. Although Lovecraft did leave a lot of these things, purposely vague, it definitely has to rank as one of the most powerful creatures that the Transformers have ever encountered. Now, this is pure speculation. We don't exactly have a buttload of information to go on. But this is where I would put Liege Maximo, and I'm talking about the big dude we got the briefest of glimpses of at the end of Gen 2. He was used as the ultimate cliffhanger, as if to say, after all the bots had been through, they still had this guy to contend with. But the storyline never continued, and he was never seen again. Aspects of the character were reworked into later storylines, like I saw his network of cyberformed planets reworked into something Giaxus made at one point. His name was recycled to become the Judas of the Primes, but overall I'm still utterly intrigued by this guy. It was stated that he had a colossal army, and his size and appearance makes me think that he could hold his own against even Unicron, if only for a little while. So even though we don't know much about him, I think he deserves a fairly high place on this list. Around here is where I would put Unicron, definitely upper echelon of the power scale, but there are others that I reckon could give him a slapping. I have this video about his abilities and this one about his origins, so check those out if you want more detail. They both have some pretty interesting stuff in there. But what I find absolutely fascinating, and the thing I want to stress in this video, would be that in addition to his colossal size and strength, he has some way of manipulating dark energies. Of course, with the energy blast that he shoots out from his mouth and his eyes, that's not really what I'm talking about, because I figure he would have some sort of reactor within his body to make that. But more specifically, I'm talking about the fact that he's supposed to have swallowed a black hole, and that it resides within his body. So I wonder if he's somehow channeling that destructive energy. And that depending on what source you read, he can travel the multiverse and see forwards and backwards in time. These are all god-level abilities, verging on the supernatural. To me, he will always be the undisputed Dark King of the Transformers universe. And yet, we should not forget about his herpy younger brother, Tornadron. Tornadron was the second attempt, failed attempt, to create a being that would conquest the galaxy on behalf of Space Chipmunk Primacron from G1. This time he went with an energy being that could shapeshift and split into several spiders and shit, and although in the main universe Grimlock managed to disperse his energies, it's said that in another universe, this thing managed to drain all the life and energy of everything in the whole motherfucker. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why he gets a spot higher than his older brother. As far as I know, Unicron has never equaled a feat as devastating as draining the energy from an entire universe. Do you think he was happy after that? I always do wonder that about these supervillains, Like, what if they succeed in wiping out all life, or like conquering everything? What do they do then? They're going to be happy? They're going to just chill and watch Netflix? The D-Void was an uncharacterizable cosmic horror, the dead universe embodied. One that once emitted a signal to the inhabitants of a planet who then promptly turned and walked into a lake, not just to drown, but to have their sparks consumed by this terrifying entity. It infused Galvatron, it turned Nova Prime into this monstrosity, and let's not forget that it also managed to possess every single Decepticon on Cybertron. But there's one that's even more powerful than that. The top spot has to go to a creature known as the Origin Eater, Hytherion, a creature that consumed time itself, made of a multiversal element called Alternium, which allows him to freely cross the multiverse to devour worlds and universes at the point of their very inception or origin. Now, as far as I understand it, this was actually a part of the universe's grand plan and Mother Nature's way to weed out universes and realities that for whatever reason were damaged or had become unstable or had gone rogue. So it wasn't necessarily evil, it was kind of just like a force of nature in the same way that Godzilla is. But somewhere along the way, it must have realized that newborn universes were that much tastier because it started feeding on those. And who did it fall to travel 2.4 billion years into the past to stop this behemoth? Yep. Cliffjumper. How the hell he did that? Actually, I don't know. Alternity is pretty complex.
But wait! There's more!
That's right, more there is, because later in the storyline, Megatron lured this thing across the dimensions to enslave it in order to access a higher dimension. He managed to bring it under his control for a while, but in a battle with the Alternity, Megatron's mind was corrupted by Hytherion. It possessed him, and he became Megatherion. So I reckon that this, the will and rage and ruthlessness of Megatron, combined with the creature unbound by our one-dimensional view of the universe and our linear flow of time, one that literally eats universes for breakfast, is the most powerful creature in all of Transformers history. And there we have it. We have come full circle, ladies and gentlemen, all the way back to Megatron, who proves yet again that no matter how many more powerful beings there are in the Transformers universe, he is the daddy of all Transformers villains. Alright, you guys, don't forget to check out Raid Shadow Legends using the link below or my QR code for all those insane bonuses, and to check out their Monster Hunter collaboration. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon for the next one. Cheerio, bye!